You know how it is. We've all heard it, right? That piece of advice from a well-meaning relative, or maybe a message that pops up on WhatsApp, telling you exactly what you should and shouldn't be eating. But here's the thing. How much of that is real wisdom and how much is just, well, noise? Today, we're going to figure that out.
Let's start with a big one. Is that daily bowl of rice really the enemy? Is it actually making you fat?
And what about ghee? I mean, our grandparents swore by it, right? But now we hear it's a one-way ticket to heart problems. So what's the real deal here?
Or how about this classic shortcut? Should you actually be skipping meals to lose weight? Does that even work?
Look, if all these conflicting ideas are making your head spin, trust me, you are not alone. But the good news is there are clear, solid answers. It's time to separate the facts from the fiction, and we're going to do it using science that's been approved by India's top medical body, the Indian Council of Medical Research. Yep, the ICMR.
All right, let's kick things off by rethinking some of those Indian staples. You know, the foods that are pretty much the foundation of our daily meals?
So first up is a myth I'm sure you've heard a million times. Eating rice makes you fat. This has got to be one of the biggest debates in pretty much every Indian household, right?
So let's get a reality check. The myth says you have to eliminate rice completely if you want to lose weight. But the science? Well, it tells a totally different story. The fact is, no single food is the villain here. It all comes down to your total calorie intake, and more importantly, your portion sizes. That's what really determines your weight. And to put that into perspective for you, a standard serving of cooked rice, we're talking about 150 grams, has only about 200 calories. That can absolutely fit into a balanced diet. I mean, think about it. There's a reason it's been a go-to energy source in India for literally thousands of years.
Okay, next up is another staple that gets such a bad rap: ghee. The myth we always hear is that it's just plain unhealthy, something to be avoided at all costs. But here's the thing, the facts tell a very different story. The myth says it clogs arteries, but the truth? In moderation, ghee actually supports digestion, and it's packed with essential vitamins like A, D, E, and K. The key word there, of course, is moderation.
So what does moderation actually mean? Well, funny enough, both traditional Ayurveda and modern science pretty much agree on this. For most people, 1 to 2 teaspoons a day is that perfect sweet spot. It's just enough to get all those great benefits without going overboard.
All right, so we've taken a fresh look at our staples. Now let's move on and bust some of those huge myths about weight loss itself.
And this one is everywhere, isn't it? The myth that skipping meals is a great way to lose weight.
But here's why that strategy almost always backfires. First, when you skip a meal, your body goes into survival mode. It thinks it's starving, so it slows your metabolism way down. Then, your stress hormone, cortisol, spikes, telling your body to hang on to fat. And the worst part? You just end up getting so hungry later that you're way more likely to overeat. It's a total cycle.
Let's talk about juicing versus whole fruit. The myth is that juice is basically the same as eating the fruit itself. But the truth? Oh, it's very different. Juicing removes all that amazing fiber and just leaves you with concentrated sugar. This causes your blood sugar to spike like crazy, which is not what you want.
Okay, so we've busted some pretty big myths. Let's switch gears now and talk about some science-backed ways to actually eat smarter. Now, here's a myth that feels like a solid health tip. Raw vegetables are always healthier. I mean, it makes sense, right? Cooking must destroy all the good stuff. But is that really the whole story?
This is where it gets really interesting. It turns out, for some veggies, cooking actually helps your body absorb more nutrients. Take tomatoes, for example. When you cook them, your body can absorb up to 35% more lycopene. That's a super powerful antioxidant. So the takeaway isn't that one is better than the other, it's that you need a good mix of both raw and cooked vegetables.
And speaking of unlocking nutrients, let's do golden milk the right way. This is about more than just mixing turmeric and milk. To get the full benefits, you need warm milk, about a teaspoon of turmeric, a little pinch of black pepper, and just a drop of fat, like ghee. So, why the pepper and ghee? What's that all about? Okay, get ready for this because the science here is just incredible. That little pinch of black pepper, it helps your body absorb the active compound in turmeric by, wait for it, 2,000%. That is not a typo. The ghee helps with absorption too. It's just a perfect example of ancient wisdom being backed up by some seriously cool modern science. So, with all this information, what do we actually do? How do we apply it? Well, let's wrap things up with a super simple daily health checklist you can start using right away. These are just some simple rules for a balanced diet, straight from the ICMR.
First, aim for all 5 food groups every day. Second, try to limit your salt to just 5 grams a day. That's about 1 teaspoon. Third, pretty simple, drink 8 glasses of water. Number 4, cut back on those ultra-processed foods. And finally, and this one's a big one, eat mindfully. Step away from the screens, really chew your food. It makes a huge difference, I promise.
You know, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that India's food traditions are just so deeply rooted in real nutritional wisdom. The key is to trust the science, not the latest trend you see online, because so often, the smartest way to eat has been right there in front of us the whole time.
So I'll leave you with a question to think about. After all this, which one of these food facts do you think will actually change the way you eat?